I have a difficult word to share with you today. It is difficult because we are used to a very reasonable God. Many of us have spent our lives explaining God. We want to know who He is, what He thinks, what He wants, and how He acts. We look for the shelter of His wings to calm our fears. We have been very happy with the image of a Father who surrounds us with light and caresses our faith with a gentle breeze and takes us by the hand through peaceful landscape by the side of calm waters. I think that the COVID-19 pandemic has taken us by surprise. In a modern world in which everyone wants quick and easy solutions, it is very difficult to face a God who can be silent and not rush to rescue us. With passion, we want God to give us explanations and to come soon to our rescue. For years, perhaps centuries, we have tried to flee from mystery. We don't like mystery. We have learned to light up almost every night with scientific knowledge and with our technology. Those of us who believe in God have learned to escape from our defeats and to minimize our tragedies with hallelujahs and hopeful songs. Faced with the deep darkness of the night, we simply sleep peacefully and wake up every morning with a quick answer in our lips and the dream of another day of opportunities and accomplishments. Of course, not everybody lives like that. Many people wake up and cannot see the ray of light to give them any comfort or hope. Perhaps they just wonder why they cannot have faith like the rest of us. They may even add darkness to their nights, thinking that they do not deserve to have the faith and the joy because of their sins. Perhaps what has happened to many of us is that the dreams of the comfort that modernity has to offer has made us forget what darkness is. Consequently, we don't know how to have faith when darkness surrounds us. However, there is no life without nights. A permanent blissful life is just a fiction that sometimes harbors a deceitful heart. Only true faith can set us free from that delusion. Only true faith can help us stand or maybe kneel in the presence of a profound, mysterious, unpredictable, inexplicable, and inexorable God. Today I will be reflecting on Genesis chapter 2. This is a chapter of the Bible that many people do not like. I will talk about this in two sessions, one today and the other Sunday. I understand that many of our friends of social media would prefer to go to Sunday, a Christian symbol of triumph, without having to go through the tragedy of this chapter of the Bible. However, this is not the way life works. The resurrection can only be reached through death. Genesis 22 is one of those chapters that drags us and plunges us into the terrible darkness of life. You have probably read this chapter before. If you have not done it, please pause the video and read the chapter. Abraham and his wife, more than 110 years old, live with the boy that they love with their lives. He is the only fruit of their love. His name is Isaac. He is the son they had prayed for and waited for during many years. He was the only continuation of their lives and their dreams. Isaac was actually the son of the very special covenant that God had made with them. Abraham and Sarah firmly believed that the future of the whole world rested on this boy. No exaggeration here. However, all of a sudden, Abraham heard the voice of God. But this time the voice did not make great promises, neither provided excitement or assurance. What's more, this time the voice was not a friendly voice. It actually sounded awful. Abraham heard the voice of God commanding him to sacrifice his only son in a cruel manner. A deep, cold darkness flooded the old heart of this patriarch. Maybe we would rather skip this chapter. But it is there. It is part of the Word of God, even if we don't like it. Abraham wants to stop the time. Sleep and peace have gone out of his soul. Previously, he had experienced darkness in his life, but it never was as deep and terrifying as it was now. He had to emigrate to Egypt, fleeing from poverty. He had felt the anguish of suspecting that powerful people in strange lands could kill him to take his beautiful wife for themselves. He had faced the horrible decision to kick out of his house his firstborn son and his servant mother. He had been in the presence of this silent and inexplicable God. Had it been worth leaving Ur, his hometown? Did the covenant of blessing that God had made with him make any sense? Was he the right person for that covenant? Abraham wondered and wondered, and God kept silent. It had not been easy for Abraham to believe in God and to follow his direction. However, nothing in his life could have prepared him for this horrible nightmare that he was living now. God was asking him the most inhumane and irrational request in the world. Abraham could have become an atheist of Jehovah and his plans right in that moment. It makes you want to protest and to rebel with all your force. But all the protesting of the world, and all the tears, and all the pleas, all the imaginable arguments were not going to change the reality. Abraham had heard the voice of God commanding him to sacrifice his only son. The story is there in the Bible, whether we like it or not. It was not a punishment, nor was divine revenge. It was a pure, dark, and inexplicable reality. Abraham was before the inexorable and terrifying God. His faith had to mature. God is totally another. He doesn't think like we do, and he doesn't act the ways we want him to act. He is equally the Lord of the day or the Lord of the night. He reigns over the soft breeze, but he reigns equally in the midst of the storm. He is present in life, and he is also present in death. His voice is pleasant in goodness, but it's terrible in the midst of evil. If we want to call ourselves children of God, and if we want to be elected in his covenant, we must learn to see the light in God's promises. But we also need to remain silent and terrified when his words and his actions are inscrutable and we feel the depth of darkness. This time that we're living now is not the time to look for clear-cut religious explanations, nor is it the time to find scapegoats and to blame others. It's not the time to escape from reality with bold religious declarations. Rather, it is the time to remain silent in the presence of the inexorable holy God. It is the time to recognize with total humility that we will never be able to understand good and evil as God does. Adam and Eve were totally deceived when they thought that they could handle good and evil. We, human beings, can only remain perplexed before him, suspending all understanding and all human aspiration in the face of the mystery of God. Here we find pure faith, like the faith of Abraham. Be humble. Acknowledge your limits. Realize that you're just another creature in the ecosystem of our planet. However, you were given the privilege to have faith. When this video is over, stay still and think of nothing else but the proximity of the terrible and inscrutable God in whom we can still trust.